Here we go. Clem in the bottom left. Astrea in the top right. So I see people arguing, saying, what? He's better than Hero? I know Hero just had a great result. Hero's a great player. And then people talk about Max Pax. Max Pax doesn't go to lands, so I don't really include him in this, although Max Pax is a great player. I do not deny he's a great player, but I'm talking about the most important thing, which is LAN results, LAN tournaments. Astrea is in fantastic shape right now. I don't think you can clearly say that anyone is better than him at Protoss right now. And he plays completely different from everyone else, so I think he's hard to prep for as well. Last time that I casted Astrea versus Clem, Astrea took him down. We'll see what happens here. Thank you for the update from the guy in the chat. Max Pax leads over Dark 1-0. They're in game number 2. The winner of this will end up playing against them. I imagine that they'll probably be done their series before we're done here, unless we get a very cheesy series here, even though PvZ is generally a pretty long matchup. Okay. So Alcyon. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't have too much to say about most of these maps. We've had them for a while. I don't feel like they have a... some of them have a big personality. Radhuset Station would be chief amongst them. But I feel like overall, there's not a huge personality on these maps. So I don't... You know, sometimes I like to talk about the maps and what we're expecting to see. But Alcyon, to me, feels a little bit bland. And honestly, a lot of times the vetoes go towards the more bland maps anyways. So that's probably part of it. But yeah. Here we are, and we wait for the builds. We wait to see strategically what these guys want to end up pulling off. Dude, that probe turnaround. Clem was not even looking right then. That's hilarious.
Hey, señor Arti, mamá Gebo, escúchame. Bowser estaba jodiendo a Peach. Bowser estaba insertando su gran pene de tortuga dentro de la vagina húmeda de Peach. A Bowser le encantaba correrse.
Oh, dude, I understand this language. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to pause stuff. We're going to pause stuff.
Across the room from Artosis. Nervous as I may have been.
Okay, we'll play it after. We'll play it afterwards. Thank you, though. Okay, anyways, we have this Reaper jumping in. You know what? It has 2 kills, so maybe he did see the probe, and he's like, no, I have this timing right now. I feel like I can get damage. That's pretty rare. But, of course, part of this is the Adept going directly across. So, you know, there is a little bit of denial going on here as far as mining goes. Has that SCV and that Marine in the bunker. As the 2 Marines pop out, like, I think he does basically have to get out of here. So, was this worth? Or maybe he just, yeah, maybe he just brings both Adepts. Yeah, look at that. Ooh, gets on top. Now, of course, with this Cyclone out, this is not going to last that long. Oh, he gets the other Marine as well. Can he get that SCV? That would be sick. Nah, he's not going to quite get it. Dark Shrine on the way. What? What? I love it. I love it. So this is a straight up DT rush. He's going for a proxy pylon. I don't know if he'll put a gate there or not. You don't see things like this very often, right? Like, if you do see a Dark Shrine early on in PvT, I feel like most of the time there's a Prism with it, but even then, that's pretty rare. But just a straight warp-in DT rush? I mean, it's a nice mix-in. It's a nice mix-in. He's going to follow up with Blink. This is, yeah, it's not going to fly over the Prism. He does go for a proxy gateway as well. That's not going to be there in time to help it with the DT warp in. There's a Raven started. Raven is going to be big here. But you know what? Raven's not particularly good against Blink. But obviously against the DT, it's going to be big. So DT's walking up. Going to meander in. No scan there. Drop coming up for Clem. And look at this. Astrea with the DT in the main base. Getting damage. Getting damage at the natural as well, targeting those SCVs. So even during the scan, getting that damage. And let's see how many he ends up getting from the 2 DTs. So 8. He gets 8 plus some lost mining time plus a scan. Huh. Now, the problem... Oh my god, he's getting blink and DT blink at the same time. I don't think I've ever seen those two upgrades next to each other. By the way, DT blink is the blink graphic with like blue mist in front of it. But it's called Shadow Stride. Get the name right. No, it's DT blink. Okay, so these stalkers going to push this back. Was that worth? Well, the thing about DT openers against Terran or against anything in general is the DT tech costs a lot, and obviously you have to build DTs at that point. So you're always behind on army supply substantially afterwards. Most DT builds, you follow up with Immortals. That historically has been how that has gone, because you want to be able to have that extra beef in your army. We do not see any Immortal production. Instead, here we see Nexus, Double Forge, Charge, and DT Blink. This is weird. This is a very weird thing that we're seeing from Astrea. Absolutely non-standard. As I mentioned previously, Astrea plays his own game. Now, he does not even run from that one auto turret. So he ends up losing 6 probes total. 4 to the one and the 2 to the one at the other base, I believe that was. Wow, a sentry warped in across the map. Okay. I'm not sure about that one, but okay. This is... But look, this is something I was actually talking about while casting Astrea in a previous week, is he takes really appropriate risks to try to win the game. So he makes those DTs, he's way down in army supply, and he says, okay, we're going to expand Double Forge. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, that sounds like you're going to have even less units, but if the attack comes slightly later, this can really work out. Now, I guess we see what he's planning on here, right? He blinks the 2 DTs in. He is waiting right now for the Shadow Stride or the DT blink to get to its cooldown. So he can go in, harass, and then blink out, right? So he does not want to lose this. Now, he may show something else at the same time to try to get maximum damage on that. Looks like we have another auto turret, gets a few probes. Is he just waiting for the move out? Dude, they're just on hold position. Does he see it? There's no reason for you to look there on your base, by the way. So he might not even see it. Looks like he's leaving stuff for a prism. Leaving a few units in there for a prism to come. Splits the DTs. One goes right there. Okay, he's going after the reactor for mines. Holy crap, Astrea is so big-brained. And he's going after the SCVs in here. Oh! Now, don't forget, he has blink. He has blink. Oh, my God. Is he going to blink? No. Well, he had blink just in case. And look at this. Blinks the DTs in on top of everything to go with these Zealots. Got the old nightmare move right there. Now, unfortunately, that army supply we were talking about is coming into play here. Just a weaker overall army for Astrea. Astrea trying to get this gold nexus going. Clem going to punish immediately. The DTs, he blinks one in. And I mean, it's getting some value, right? It's getting some kills for sure. No scan that time. That Raven probably thinks it should be at home. Well, no, actually, with 13 kills, it doesn't think it should be at home. It's done a great job with its harassment, so I definitely can't say anything negative about that. 2-2 gets started here for Astrea. At least he is at equal upgrades with Clem, and he's going to get ahead on that maybe if the game continues. Still a little bit of DT harassment. Double drop-off. Actually, there's enough here to deal with this. Astrea should be fine right here. Yep. Oh, but if the mines bro... Ah! Okay. Sacks the 2 Zealots. What can you do? Very, very cool game that we're looking at. One thing to mention, though, and you guys probably have noticed this already, we're down 40 army supply for Astrea. So that same problem we had at the beginning has been a bit exacerbated at this point. Like, Astrea's still trying to play in this, I mean, this is a tough thing to play what he's doing right now. Very heavy charge. It almost looks like we're watching SOS play right now. That honestly, it kind of does look like that, doesn't it? I feel like SOS would have taken the gold as his third though instead of his fourth. That's where SOS's genius comes into play. Now Mass DT's actually coming in and he blinks behind. This is going to be death, unfortunately. Astrea's going to probably GG here. He had the scans to deal with those DTs. He was trying to utilize a very old tactic that Nightmare actually initially showed us of blinking behind the army with the DTs and charging in with the Zealots. The DTs are actually doing so much work here, but he has another scan there as well. Another DT hitting that third base. Will blink out. Catches all the DTs up here. 14 army supply to 78. It's not going to be enough. Clem going to take game one. What a wild game there. What a wild game. Astrea really has his own stuff, man.
Subscribed.
Thank you, Uber Newbie.
Uberno by 3 just resubscribed for 16 months. Never finished Art Project 5 donated $5. I sat across the room from Artosis. Nervous as I may have been, he locked eyes with me. I was shaking, nervous as to what he may do. He stared at me. He got up, walked over to me, whispered into my ear and said, "I am Artosis, you will obey."
Sounds like me.
A raging man foaming at the mouth stares at a broken monitor. A scared, concerned little girl stands in the doorway. This ape only has to make zealotmen and laser spiders and beats me. He doesn't even bother with spaceships. The man hastily replaces the monitor to quay another game.
To quay another game. Oh, Q. Got you.
Hey, señor Artie, mamaguevo, escúchame.
Dude.
Bowser estaba jodiendo
Why?
a Peach. Bowser estaba insertando
Why?
su gran pene.
Why did it go quiet? Weird. All right, we're going to our next game. Here we go. Astrea in the bottom right. Clem in the bottom left. And here we go. Really a cool game, that first game, right? You know, I do want to kind of re-say what I said before. Okay, well, already a crazy build here from Astrea, forward proxy pylon.
Cool machiared.
Okay, we'll play it afterwards. We'll play it. No. We'll play it afterwards. Thank you though. Okay, so forward proxy. I do want to mention that last game looked like an SOS build, but I do think SOS would have taken the gold base as his third, and that would have been how he tried to get out of it. Astrea, he tried to save the gold base with some DT blink charge, and it just didn't work. And from there, that was it. That was it. Like, Clem's supply was way too high. As long as he had detection, he had the game. But an interesting one. I enjoyed that very much. It's cool to see these very different ideas coming out of Astrea. He's really innovating a lot for Protoss right now. Okay, taking a look at this. He made his first pylon out on the map. Or maybe it was his second pylon, actually. I was not really paying attention. I was thinking of that last game some. Either way, whatever. It's a forward proxy gateway. He's making a Zealot to start. Obviously, a lot of pressure going to come down. Does Clem make the command center low ground? This is what he wants. Okay. So this build is not, that's not exactly what we normally see for the gateway placement, but there's actually the original build called the Max Packs build was your first gateway being out on the map with making a pylon in your main base first. And that was called the Max Packs build. Beastie Cutie showed us when Max Packs was first popping up on ladder in EU as like an aspiring cheesy GM Protoss. Anyways, here is that first Zealot trying to get on top of the Marine. And he has dealt some damage to the Marine, putting a little bit more on the Marine now. SCV's chasing. Nice block. Excellent block here from Clem. Excellently done. Another Zealot coming in. Normally, a build like this does end up shutting down. Oh, the SCV gets the probe. I can't believe that. That's crazy. I thought for sure he was going to get the SCV. That changes things quite a bit. Look at how much extra health he's getting on this right now. Now, he will shut down that command center. Now, originally, the Max Packs build, where you make a proxy gateway like this and put the pressure on, if they make the low ground command center, that's exactly what it's looking for, okay? You're looking to shut that down. Now, there is a Cyclone on the way. Let's see if he can force the cancel on this, because the Cyclone may change everything, right? I feel like the Cyclone is going to enforce this gets down. Twilight on the way. I tell you, the reason why this is going to finish, because he just shaded in. Oh, wait, no, he canceled the shade. And probably rightfully so. Honestly, I think part of why this is this command center is actually finished is because the SCV killed the probe earlier. If the probe had killed the SCV, it would have had like 20% less building done, right? I feel like I'm tripping over my words here, but you get my meaning. So I think that was actually a very impactful moment in this game. Surprisingly impactful. Okay, double stalker comes in. Oh, Clem doing a really good job here. Those cyclones just kind of catch-alls. Now, we have a DT shrine coming up once again. We have the Dark Spire coming up with a robo this time. So it's going to be a DT drop from Astrea. Now, unfortunately for him, Clem is getting the Raven once again. But maybe fortunately for him, the Raven's going to be done so far in advance that it may fly across the map for harassment. And he may still actually get really reasonable damage with the DTs. That seems like it might happen. Let's see if he keeps it at home. Might be sending around the top of the map. Looks like it's going to patrol in his base for a little bit. He might have a certain window where he expects things to come, and when they don't come, he sends it across the map. That's not an uncommon thing. Double DT warping. So 2 in the prism, 1 on the ground. Third Nexus gets started. I like the third Nexus. I like this. He's making an observer. I do wonder if he'll go for an immortal this time. Okay. Catches the DTs with the Raven there. All right, this DT will get picked off. 3 kills. And it looks like we have a little bit of harassment in the main base still. He might need to just recall that out of there. Yeah, I think you just have to... Well, you don't necessarily have to recall it right this second. Like, I think it's okay to sit there for a bit, but you have to make sure you don't lose it. If I was Clem, you couldn't stop me from making a Viking. I want that Viking so bad right now. Okay, Blink is on the way. I really wonder because... Oh, God. Okay. He's going for a robo support bay, right? The support bay... I feel like... Here's the thing, right? You have, like... Your army is so soft after a DT opener. He's made 3 DTs this game and purchased the Dark Shrine. Colossus and Disruptor are both soft units. Immortal is a heavy unit. There's a reason why historically for the past... How many years has this game been out? 14 years, I want to say. There's a reason why for the past 14-ish years... most DT builds were followed by Immortal. It's because it gives you a little bit more stability to your very squishy army. Now, that's not what we see. Instead, we see Colossus coming up. Now, to be fair, there's no upgrade for Disable. So the Colossus is going to do reasonably well, even though there's a Raven out. But if you look at that army that's incoming... Now, I'm not saying an Immortal changes everything here. I'm just saying, I feel like the squishiness of Astrea's army is going to have a very hard time holding this. We have double auto turrets coming down. Heavy harassment here. Oof. Dude, that's so many probes going down. Holy shit. I think Clem's just going to kill him here. Ugh. That army does not look like one that Astrea can fight right now. He's coming out with an Archon. Okay, blinks forward onto the tanks. The mines chew through part of the army as well. Has to pull back to his battery. There is some damage on that Bioforce, so it is going to sit back. My main concern is the amount of probes that he already lost to this. Oh, that's cute as hell. Did you see that? That is a... Dude, that's like a BGH cannon right there. I love it. Cannon right on the very edge of your base. Really interestingly placed cannons. They do seem like they're anti-Raven, but he lost 11 probes to that thing, and that is super painful. His economy looks so much better right now. Now, look, he's down a good 30 army supply still. 35 even. Stargate coming up. And +1? Okay, this has to be Tempest. That's wild. I love it. I mean, I'm the biggest Tempest fan. I think Tempest is the most underrated unit in StarCraft 2 and has been since it stopped being used every single game. It's a great unit. But I do think we're going to see some Tempest popping out here. If he starts a carrier, I'm going to lose my shit because that's going to be... There's no way carrier is correct here. Okay, anyways, right now, Clem finds that in the middle. He's roaming about. We're on like the brink of I can't hold this, I feel like, for Astrea. Astrea right now needs to play a very turtled position. He needs to roam really well and just lock it down. 4 base, like, this is the maximum he's going to be able to hold right now, I think. Until you get your first round of units out of these Stargates, I don't think you can do anything else but defend. Now, he's flying around with a prism. This is fine, okay? Like, 1 prism flying around, it's going to die, unfortunately. So that actually, it goes very poorly. But, like, 6 supply overall. I can't believe he's going carrier. I can't eat. That's wild to me. I feel like this is something that can be outmassed. I'm trying to think. We saw Astrea do a really interesting carrier build like 3 weeks ago, I want to say. I'm trying to remember it right now. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Astrea has so many new ideas, so many fresh ideas for this matchup and all Protoss matchups, really. Big mine drop coming down. Ooh, that one's going to go off, it looks like. I mean, good kills. Good kills. That one only got 1. Okay, so hopefully he'll be able to clear that out. Has a few cannons here as well. Does he have what he needs to hold on? The 3 cannons doing a surprisingly good job of zoning everything out. Pulls the probes away. Still hasn't dealt with this. Okay, brings an observer over, so that's really, really good. I was afraid of that. If that blows up a bunch of probes, that is no good. All right, so 171 to 190 supply. But we're going carriers, right? +2 halfway done for those carriers. Another Stargate goes down. Lots of Vikings being made. And he is adding the disruptors. The disruptors are crucial here. Like, you are going to need to blow up mass amounts of units that are trying to overwhelm you. What a crazy looking game this is. The fact that Astrea has been able to push the game into this after his DT drop didn't really do what he was looking for. Very impressive. Very impressive stuff. He's defending these 4 bases expertly. Clem hasn't really been able to get any damage done. I mean, a light Widow Mine drop, that's 5 probes doesn't mean anything really in the 70s. Viking count continues to grow. Just a small group of stalkers here, just kind of poking the edges. Clear a mine here, clear a mine there. It's got 1/1 upgrades. Not upgrading the forges anymore right now. Okay, just getting what he can with these disruptor shots. Clem scans. He sees the carrier count getting a little bit scary, a little bit. What is our anti-Viking play here? If you look at the army, it's like 4 or 5 stalkers, an Archon, and some cannons and shield batteries. That doesn't feel like it stops a huge cloud of Vikings that well. You know, it feels like generally you go with Psystorm or a heavier stalker contingent, maybe. Obviously, if the Archon gets under a big group, that's going to be huge. Now, Astrea is pushing across the map. He has got a scary looking army here. And here come those Vikings. This is what I was scared about. Okay, he loses 1 carrier almost immediately. They pull back. He loses a few Vikings here. The Disruptor is doing a pretty decent job of zoning things back. Zealots as well. Marauders in the front, tanking most of the damage. Astrea retreats. I feel like while I'm casting this, I'm going to learn something I didn't know before. I really feel like that right now. Like the way Astrea is going for this, look at this. 6 Vikings at a time, 3 carriers at a time. We have the Mothership coming up. Mothership is neat right now. It's very different. Everything on cooldowns. Moves faster. Cloak not permanent. Will be interesting to see how he wants to utilize that. Liberator range on the way here for Clem. Observer speed, I like it. Really important to get upgrades like that in late game, not to forget about them. So 19 Vikings right now against 8 carrier. Again, the anti-air army of Astrea, like obviously the carriers can hit air, but he's got like 3 stalkers and 1 Archon, right? So it's just, he doesn't have a lot to stop the Vikings. This is what I'm worried about, and this is what I've been worried about, and why I was thinking before that going into carriers here would be crazy, because I feel like Clem will just really mass up Vikings, clear them, and then your army sucks, right? He's got 1/1 upgrades on his ground units. He is now going for 2/2, but Clem is going to have 3/3, so Clem is going to be up like 3-4 upgrades as far as bio against gateway units. And if you look at this army, it doesn't look like an army that will be able to win without the carriers. So the mass Vikings are a strong counter. This is what I'm worried about. This is what I feel like I'm going to learn here, because it's not like Astrea, honestly, I think is one of the smartest pro gamers. Just straight up, the guy is really, really smart if you ever talk to him, right? He knows what he's doing. He has a lot of good ideas, and he really thinks out his strategies more than most pros. So I feel, oh my God, is he doing a recall? Holy shit, let's go! Big recall up here. Brings in his entire army. He's going to nuke this base, and you watch. I think he's going to recall home as well. Here come those Vikings. Very, very scary. Are we going to have that big recall back home? I believe so. And there it is. Dude, are you kidding me? He even leaves the Immortal behind as a middle finger to Clem. Wild moves. I love to see it. No one is using Protoss like this. By the way, this started with a basically failed Dark Templar drop. Someone go make a Reddit thread about how you can't play late game with Protoss. Please. We need more bad Reddit threads. Awesome, awesome stuff here. Now, Astrea. You take in some more Nexuses. He's adding in those Tempests. He's getting Psystorm, Prism Speed, more Stargates, more upgrades everywhere. Massing those Forge upgrades out. Clem kind of continuing his upgrade run. Building armor, high-sec auto, all those things. We are getting into a wild late game right now. All right, this Nexus is going to be picked off. The Tempest now these are going to be a pretty reasonable counter. Against these Vikings. If he can get vision, he'll start pegging them down, right? Just volley after volley to remove them. Oh, look at that. He activated. That's what him activating cloak to try to block probes from dying, I believe. It didn't really work out there. 9 probes end up going down. A nuke going to go ahead and clear some of these cannons. Reasonable nuke there from Clem. I like the usage of the nuke for sure. Big volley from those Vikings. Now, this is where it could start going wrong for these Vikings. He's got Psystorm now. I don't know where his High Templars are. I imagine he might have some under that group. Dude, that is a lot of damage. He's picking off some very high tier units here. This base, is Astrea going to be able to hold on to it? Storm goes down on the Marauders. We're getting really low as far as that carrier count. And by really low, I'm talking 0. You can see how the Vikings really, really punish here. Astrea a little bit out of position. Ends up losing the strength of his army. He's going into Mass Tempest now. Now, if he can get these Tempests out, is he going to be able to take a reasonable fight at that point? Could he maybe knock out the air and then go back into carriers? I'm not sure. His bank is getting a little bit low. His supply very scarily low. And in fact, the Tempest popping out and being picked off as they pop out. Mass Liberators come up, and it looks like Clem should be able to take this game. I got to tell you, really interesting plays from Astrea. Really interesting plays from Astrea. Fantastically fun to watch. Clem going to go to the finals, as he oftentimes does. But you can see that Astrea is experimenting in ways that other players are not. I think that the carriers were not necessarily the best thing to go for there. But he kind of made them work until of course, they didn't. But, you know, that's the problem with going carriers early on against Terran, right? If you don't have a big counter to those Vikings. I mean, you just get this cloud of Vikings, you start one-shotting them. Really, really fun. Excellent game.